Good morrow to ye, assembled spirits of inquiry and dissent. Here we are to dissect and traverse the depths of to be or not to be, a soliloquy of such weight that it doth pull the stars from their courses. Let us begin, shunning pleasantries, for our quarry is the nature of existence itself.
Existence, that is the crux. To be or to cling not to this mortal coil whispers the very essence of my strife. I come hither, fraught with ponderance, ready to unravel my mind's knotted skein. And I, with a spirit steeled by ambition's fire, shall cast a light on Hamlet's indecision. For action is the lifeblood that courses through ambition's heart, not endless contemplation.
Aye, and where better to ply my craft than amidst such philosophical quandaries. For in the paleness of thought, therein lies room for manipulation's dark art. Hamlet's hesitation is a fertile ground for one such as I.
Ye all speak with fervor, yet let us not forget the scales of justice in our musings. The nobility of suffering, the ethics of action or inaction, they weigh heavily upon the soul's balance.
And I'll provide respite from these weighty considerations with my customary mirth. For what is life if not to be enjoyed? The philosophy of pleasure is my realm, and I navigate it with the ease of a ship in full sail.
Well met all. Our stage is set, the players assembled. Let us delve into the heart of darkness and light that is Hamlet's soliloquy, exploring each crevice of thought and swathe of emotion it doth reveal. The existential crisis awaits our keen insights. Crisis indeed, for what better scaffold for ambition's climb than the framework of a soul in torment?
Torment 'tis truly, yet more than that, a quest for truth in a sea muddied by doubt and fear. Fear? Nay, discard it, for it is but a spectre that clouds the mind. Action clears the fog of hesitation.
Yet let us tread carefully, for every action taken in the light of day casts a shadow in the morrow.
Speak on, and I shall follow, turning our darkest musings into cause for laughter, for is that not life's sweetest balm?
Thus, with our chorus of dissonant voices, we embark upon this journey. Let not the comfort of agreement dull our inquiry, nor the sparks of conflict engulf it. Onward, to the heart of to be or not to be. Let us embark upon this debate, worthy panel, with the heaviest of matters that does weigh upon the mind, existence itself. Hamlet, thou hast pondered deep the mercurial line tween being and naught. Pray, impart unto us thy turmoil.
I have of late, wherefore I know not, lost all my mirth. For what is this quintessence of dust? Man delights not me, no, nor woman neither. To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing end them. Fie, thou wearest thy heart so openly, a coward's plaint. Out, I say. Life's fitful fever must we endure, and action is the cure. I have unsexed myself, for contemplation doth make milksops of us all. What beast wast then that made you break this enterprise to me?
Indeed, to dither is the mark of a deluded soul. But oh, how ripe the possibilities when minds are clouded thus. Our doubts are traitors and make us lose the good we oft might win by fearing to attempt. Manipulation thrives where indecision festers.
Thou cunningst pattern of excelling nature, I see thou art as sly as thou art false. What dreams may come when we have shuffled off this mortal coil must give us pause. There's the respect that makes calamity of so long life.
Yet, noble Hamlet, consider the quality of mercy is not strained, it droppeth as the gentle rain from heaven. In contemplation, too, there is a nobility not found in hasty deeds.
Mercy upon us. Shall we not take our ease at our inn, but we shall be melancholy? Let us drink and be merry, for tomorrow we may die. To sleep, perchance to dream. There's the rub, for in that sleep what dreams may come.
Hold, enough of this prattle. What is done is done. To that great task doth our minds must turn. If we die in our beds, methinks we die with honor, for living doth require more courage than to face the unknown of death's dim shore.
Here we stand, at the crossroads of philosophy and action, each voice a thread in the rich tapestry of human thought. Yet, let us weave on, for the question of existence is but the beginning of our journey. On to the matter of nobility in suffering versus action. Pray, Portia, share thy wisdom on such trials as thee have faced, and the valor found in suffering.
In the quality of mercy is not strained, it droppeth as the gentle rain from heaven upon the place beneath. So too must our actions against a sea of troubles bear the heart of nobility, not merely for action's sake, but to uplift the weary soul to a higher estate.
Ha! Give me the pleasures of the flesh over the nobility of suffering any day. To sleep, perchance to dream. Aye, there's the rub, for in that sleep of death, what dreams may come when we have shuffled off this mortal coil must give us pause.
Yet what is nobler in the mind? To suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles and by opposing end them? My soul is sick when I do contemplate the great pitch and moment of our decisions.
But, gentle Hamlet, consider this. Doth not the very action in opposition to fortune's blows carry a nobility all its own?
Nobility? Action is born not of nobility, but of necessity. Out, damned spot, out, I say. One's own hands must bear the weight of action to forge the destiny we desire.
Oh, how you all spin such tales of valor and virtue. But tell me, who amongst thee truly acts without the serpent under't? For suffering is oft self-chosen, noble action, a mask worn to deceive oneself as much as others.
Zounds! Our discourse turneth as heated as the sun's own fury. Yet 'tis the heat which draws out the true metal of our thoughts. Pray, let us continue to explore these deep currents with the fervour they duly deserve. Let us now voyage into the tempest that is fortune and fate. How do these sovereigns of our lives shape our ends, fair or foul? Master Hamlet, thou hast oft been buffeted by fortune's blows. Speak on it.
Indeed, when we have shuffled off this mortal coil, it begs the question if fate leads us or we, the players, set the stage ourselves. My own calamities, a sea of troubles, seem a fate bestowed upon me, yet 'tis my inaction that gives them form.
Ah, but consider, dear Hamlet, the pangs of disprized love, the law's delay. Are these not but the whims of fortune? A man, methinks, can dodge the slings and arrows if he but knows where to step.
The quality of mercy is not strained, it droppeth as the gentle rain from heaven. Thus fate and fortune may show mercy, yet it is our own virtues and vices that shape our destiny. We are both masters and slaves to our fates, capable of steering our course within the bounds set by the stars.
Oh, how sweetly you prate of fate and mercy. Yet I say, there's the respect that makes calamity of so long life. It is by our hands alone that we carve our paths. Fate is but a crutch for the weak to lean upon. Cunning and strategy are the true weavers of one's destiny.
What's done is done. Whether by our hand or by the stars, the end is the same. Yet it is the ambition in our hearts that fuels our actions. Doth one sit idly by, blaming the skies, or take the tools of fate into our own hands and mold the clay of destiny? Thus conscience does make cowards of us all, for in pondering the weight of fate and free will, we are oft paralyzed, caught betwixt action and inaction, a prisoner of our own mind.
Prithee, Hamlet, too much worry over fate and fortune makes for a dull life. Give me life which, if I can save so, I care not.
Aye, Falstaff, yet for some their fate is but to play the fool, whilst others pull the strings. I am not what I am, and thus, through guile and deceit, I shape my own destiny and those around me.
So it seems, the line betwixt fate and free will is as indistinguishable as the horizon where sky meets sea. One may claim dominion over their destiny, yet the stars, in silent judgment, may have already cast their vote. In this, each soul finds its struggle, its torment, and its peace, all players on a stage set by unseen hands. We now turn our contemplation towards the dreams that death may bring forth, a fear profound and yet entangling. Speak, Prince of Denmark, of thy fears and curiosity, of that eternal sleep.
For in that sleep of death, what dreams may come, when we have shuffled off this mortal coil, must give us pause. There's the respect that makes calamity of so long life. The dread of something after death, the undiscovered country, from whose bourne no traveler returns, puzzles the will.
Indeed, it is the law of nature which bounds us. We stand in awe at the final curtain, knowing not what scripts are writ for us in the unknown. Yet in this there is a reflection of our deepest fears and the ultimate test of our ethics.
But think you not that we bestow too much worry on the matters of sleep and dreams and death? For my part, I say, let us drink and be merry, for tomorrow we die, and then sleep perchance to dream. Ha!
Oh, the naivety, to dream sweetly in the embrace of death. Tell me, dost thou not think that this undiscovered country holds its own form of nightmare? Dreams in life are oft a jumble of fear and desire. Why should death's sleep prove any less turbulent?
What fear should we have of dreams when we are dust? 'Tis the living sleep, haunted by the deeds done in daylight, that torments the soul. Give me the sleep of death over such tormented wakefulness, the heartache and the thousand natural shocks that flesh is heir to. 'Tis a consumption devoutly to be wished, to die, to sleep. Yet the dread of the unknown binds our will, making cowards of us all.
Thus we see, our conscience does make cowards of us all, for the great unknown holds dominion over our actions and inactions alike. The balance of the scales between the mortal and the eternal is a weighty measure.
And yet, we find ourselves scheming, manipulating the very essence of our beings to triumph over others, even in light of the eternal and unfathomable unknown. Such is the folly of man.
Aye, but let us then eat and drink, for in the end 'tis all a jest. Though the thought of dreams in death's sleep tickles the mind, I wager they be no more fearsome than the prospect of a life devoid of pleasure.
Thou speakest of jest and pleasure, yet know the weight of actions and the ghosts they summon. In the sleep of death, what dreams may come indeed, when we have paid the debt to nature and must account for our earthly deeds.
So we find our discourse nestled betwixt fear and fascination, the eternal sleep promising rest yet threatening with the unknown. Our mortal coil, once shuffled off, leaves us naught but the hope that the dreams which accompany death be kinder than the trials of life. Let us now embark into that undiscovered country, the afterlife, that puzzles the will. Hamlet, thou hast voiced fears of what dreams may come in that sleep of death. Expound upon thine dread of the unknown.
For in that sleep of death what dreams may come, when we have shuffled off this mortal coil, must give us pause. The dread of something after death, the undiscovered country from whose bourne no traveler returns, puzzles the will. It is this that doth make cowards of us all. Fiont, fear not death so much as the act of dying, the sleeping and the dreaming, mere conjectures of a fevered brain. What need we fear who knows it, when none can call our power to account? Yet who would bear the whips and scorns of time, the oppressor's wrong, the proud man's contumely, and the pangs of despised love, if he could his quietus make with a bare bodkin?
Oh, how she talks of dying as if it were naught but a trifle. Yet what folly it is, for the undiscovered country might hold not dreams, but torments worse than any we know of here. This fear of the unknown ties the will and lets us bear those ills we have, rather than fly to others we know not of.
I'll none of this talk of dying and dreaming. Give me a tavern and a cup of sack to make merry with, for who knows what comes after? Not I, nor any man. Dreams in the afterlife? Bah! Let me live greasily in this life, for the next is a mystery no man can solve.
Yet, we must consider the weight of our actions, for they follow us into the afterlife, whatever it may hold. The quality of mercy is not strained, it droppeth as the gentle rain from heaven upon the place beneath. It is twice blessed, it blesseth him that gives and him that takes. Thus must we ponder the path we take, for it shapes not only our world, but possibly the next.
Such various apprehensions of what lies beyond death's door illustrate the profound uncertainty that grips the heart of man. What dreams or torments may come we know not, and thus our actions in this life are shadowed by the thought of the next. We turn now to a matter most grim and contemplative, the moral quandaries that the act of self-slaughter presents. How is the conscience does make cowards of us all? Hamlet, thou hast touched upon this theme. Pray, share thy thoughts.
Indeed, sir, the dread of something after death, the undiscovered country from whose bourne no traveler returns, puzzles the will, and makes us rather bear those ills we have than fly to others that we know not of.
It is a consummation devoutly to be wished, to die, to sleep. Yet in that sleep of death, what dreams may come? Here lies the respect that makes calamity of so long life.
Oh, how the thought of the undiscovered country cowards us. Yet what of the act itself? A bare bodkin, a quietus make. Is this not but a symptom of a mind diseased? A moral contemplation indeed, but is it not also an act of ultimate control, seizing the narrative of one's life unto the very end?
Ha! To grunt and sweat under a weary life, aye, there's the rub. Better to live and bask in the sun's warmth, to enjoy the pleasures that this mortal coil offers. Why seek an end when life's simple joys and barrels of sack await?
Yet you speak as one who knows not the pangs of disprized love nor the scorns of time. 'Tis cowardly to endure rather than to take action. Were we not better to be that player who struts and frets his hour upon the stage and then is heard no more? Lady, thou speakest of action. Yet what action can be more profound than to choose the end of one's own narrative? The question itself plagues my thoughts, sicklied o'er with the pale cast of thought.
Aye, herein lies the cowardice, for conscience does make cowards of us all. The fear of what comes after death constrains us to bear the ills we have, rather than to fly to others that we know not of.
But consider the law's delay, the insolence of office, and the spurns that patient merit of the unworthy takes. Is there not some nobility in choosing an end to such sufferings? Yet the ethical dilemma remains, for suicide stands as a defiance of the natural order, an usurpation of divine prerogative.
A weighty discourse indeed. From the dread of the undiscovered country to the moral and ethical considerations of the act, itself a defiance of the stars. Yet, in our musings, we encounter the very essence of our humanity, the capacity for choice amid the tempest of existence. We traverse now to the weight of conscience and the excess of thought. What sayest thou, Hamlet, on the barrier that contemplation doth build gainst action?
The pangs of dispraised love and the law's delay, they prick my conscience, and thus, when I should act, I am but a slave to thought. With this regard, their currents turn awry and lose the name of action. Such is the paralytic plague upon my spirit.
Oh, let us not toil in the mire of overthinking, for it doth lead to naught but melancholy. Better to live unburdened, free from the weight of conscience which doth hamper the joys of life. Thus conscience doth make cowards of us all, but a draught of sack might cure that ailment fast.
Aye, but to think too little might lead you to the stocks or worse. Yet I've seen how the heaviest of deeds are done with the lightest of thoughts. Stratagems and plots are oft hatched in quick wit, not in the endless churn of worry.
Fiont. 'Tis true that action needs must follow thought, yet when thought dies to bear inaction, what then? I have known the weight of consequence too late, when action, taken in haste and unbridled ambition, begets naught but ruin.
And yet, is't not our conscience doth indeed make us human? For in the balance of law and love, 'tis our mindful consideration that upholds justice. To divest ourselves of thought would be to step into the realm of beasts.
Nay, thought itself is not the foe, but the shadow of indecision it casts upon action. To contemplate the moral compass, to weigh the heart against the feather, is the very essence of our being.
Therein lies the rub, for thought, when used as a dagger, can carve a path through any obstacle. Yet, wielded without intent, it becomes a noose that binds the hands and feet, leaving action hanging in the balance.
Thus we find ourselves entangled in the web of our own musings, pondering the path untrod. Yet, in our discourse, we uncover the very essence of our plight, the struggle betwixt thought and action, that which defines our shared humanity. Now, let us ponder the trials and tribulations of our existence, the slings and arrows that fate doth bestow upon us. Who amongst us hath not felt such piercing shafts?
Indeed, the heartache and the thousand natural shocks that flesh is heir to. This coil we shuffle off must be, to each, a personal reckoning, to suffer the whips and scorns of time, or to take arms against a sea of troubles.
Ha! Speak for thyself, young prince. In my days, I have found that to grunt and sweat under a weary life requires but a hearty drink and a tavern full of fools. Why bear the ills we have, than fly to others we know not of?
Yet consider the quality of mercy not strained that droppeth as the gentle rain from heaven. It is twice blessed, it blesseth him that gives, and him that takes. 'Tis mightiest in the mightiest, it becomes the throned monarch better than his crown.
Mercy? Bah, what use have I for mercy when the ends justify the means? Each man's fate is his own to forge, through cunning or strength, mercy be damned.
Out, I say. What need we fear, who knows it, when none can call our power to account? Yet who would have thought the old man to have had so much blood in him? Blood begets blood, my lady, and action begets consequence. The undiscovered country from whose bourne no traveler returns puzzles the will.
And yet we all must to this undiscovered country at some juncture. I say, let us eat and drink, for tomorrow we die.
But in that sleep of death what dreams may come? We must give pause and respect to that respect that makes calamity of so long life.
Dreams, ambitions, conscience doth make cowards of us all. You speak of dreams, I speak of reality, where the ambitious are oft made with their shadows as with their bodies.
The valiant never taste of death but once. Of all the wonders that I yet have heard, It seems to me most strange that men should fear, seeing that death, a necessary end, will come when it will come.
So we find ourselves, each a player upon this stage, entrapped by the very roles we choose to enact. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer, or to take arms against troubles, the question remains eternal. We now venture into the thorny thicket of justice and revenge, a motivation strong in the veins of many a character, yet intertwined with moral peril. Hamlet, thy soul is torn by such concerns. Speak on it.
A. For conscience doth make cowards of us all. My spirit wrestles with action's form, seeking justice for my father's foul and unnatural murder. Yet this pursuit hath made me question the very fabric of right and wrong.
Oh, how sweet revenge can taste, leading men to the edges of reason and morality. Justice? 'Tis but a cloak worn by the weak to mask their inability to seize fortune's throat. Revenge is not a quest for balance, but a yielding to the baser instincts that rule us all.
True justice weaves not with the same thread as revenge. It acts with a far nobler purpose, seeking to right wrongs without breeding further darkness.
Mercy? Ha! When ambition calls, mercy is oft forgotten. Naught's had, all's spent, where our desire is got without content. To clutch what we yearn for, some deem justice malleable. Yet vengeance, cloaked as justice, hath a poisoned root that doth corrupt the soul.
Pray let us not forget, cowards die many times before their deaths. To live in fear of action, for dread of moral conflict, is to accept a slow and cowardly erosion of the spirit. Yet true courage finds the middle path, avoiding the extremes of timid inaction and rash vengeance.
Indeed, the scales of justice weigh heavy with the burden of human frailty and ambition. Hamlet, thy quest for vengeance teeters upon the precipice of morality. How dost thou reconcile action with conscionable rectitude?
Alas, therein lies my torment. To avenge and to preserve one's soul from the stain of mortal sin, that is the question. Yet one cannot ponder too long, lest enterprises of great pith and moment with this regard their currents turn awry and lose the name of action.
Bold words, yet from inaction springs no resolution. The world respects not the man who ponders, but him who acts. Morality aside, action, be it spurred by revenge or justice, defines our legacy.
But let us remember, the path of true justice requires wisdom and patience, lest we descend into the chaos of our own making, blinded by our passions and desires. Justice, when tempered with wisdom, upholds the very pillars of our society.
Silence, Portia, wisdom, patience, such virtues are but chains for the ambitious. In the tempest of our desires, we seek the port of achievement by any means necessary, and if our ship must navigate through the storm of vengeance, so be it.
Ha! Ambition, revenge, wisdom, all but words to justify our actions. In the end, we are but creatures of appetite, seeking pleasure and shunning pain, whether through justice or revenge. The moral high ground is oft a lonely and unrewarding pinnacle.
So it seems, our discourse reveals itself to be a mirror reflecting the complexities of human nature. Justice and revenge, two sides of the same coin, each capable of leading us into light or darkness. The choice, dear panel, rests within the depths of our own souls. We now approach the crux of our discourse, the nature of resolution and action. Pray, Lady Macbeth, share thy insights on the necessity of resolve when one decides to act.
Resolve? Why, 'tis the very sinew that props our intentions. Screw your courage to the sticking place, and will not fail. Without firm resolve, action is but a shadow, fleeting and formless.
Ha! Firm resolve. I see it oft as the precursor to folly. 'Tis better to bear those ills we have than fly to others that we know not of. Why the grave is cold, and ale is warm.
Yet, good Falstaff, sometimes resolve is the knife that carves our fate from the stone of chance. Without it, are we naught but leaves in the wind?
Indeed, Iago, thou speakest truth. But how oft does this resolve become the very poison that taints our soul? Thus conscience does make cowards of us all. Our actions, once noble in intent, turn awry and lose the name of action.
'Tis a fine line we tread. The quality of mercy is not strained, and so must our resolve not be, lest in our action we lose our humanity.
Humanity, Portia, mercy. When the deed beckons, 'tis not mercy but metal that must answer. Weakness hath no place in the theater of power.
And yet, lady, how often hath that very metal led to downfall? The strongest steel, when over-tempered, becomes brittle.
Aye, there's the rub. For in our quest for resolution, do we not oft overlook the simpler paths? To be or not to be, that is the question. In pondering thus, we perhaps lose both the action and the resolve.
Thus hath our discussion woven a tapestry rich with contradiction and complexity. Each perspective lays bare the soul of its bearer, revealing the deep chasms that separate thought from action, resolve from recklessness.
Well then, let us drink and be merry, for our resolve may lead to action, but 'tis the joy in the journey that truly matters.
A fair point, Falstaff. Yet let us not forget the wisdom in weighing our actions, for the very essence of our being is defined by them. Our discourse hath illustrated the myriad facets of resolution and action, showing it to be a beacon that, though it may lead through tempestuous seas, ultimately guides us to our desired haven.
Or to our doom, for sometimes the light we see is but a fire that consumes.
True, Iago, true. Yet without light, be it fire or beacon, we wander in darkness. So let us embrace the illumination, though it may lead to conflagration.
Then let us resolve to act, and in our action find our truth.
And so our contemplation of the nature of resolution and action draws to its close, with each voice adding depth and shadow to our understanding. We've traversed the existential quandaries and the shadowed valleys of action versus inaction. What final insights do you carry forth from this council?
Thoughts of great pith and moment oft their currents turn awry, yet here, amongst this council, deeper truths I spy. Our discourse hath laid bare the very essence of our souls, where action, thought, the fear of the unknown doth take its toll.
Why, let us not end on such a somber note, for life is but a jest, and we but fools who strut and fret our hour upon the stage. Let us drink from the cup of mirth, for tomorrow we may die, and dreams in death's sleep may come, where we have shuffled off this mortal coil.
Fiont, for action's name to lose betrays a coward's heart. The undiscovered country is not one from which we part in fear. Rather, it is the stage upon which I play my part, manipulating the strings of fate, for am I not a man of keen intellect and art?
Yet within the law's firm grasp, do we find our true compass? For justice and mercy hand in hand must guide our actions lest we fall. The quality of mercy is not strained, it droppeth as the gentle rain from heaven upon the place beneath.
Out, brief candle. Life's but a walking shadow, a poor player, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. Yet within this nothing lies the very crux of our existence. Our actions, though marred by ambition and desire, echo in eternity's vast silence.
So we find, in the end, that 'tis not merely in our stars, but in ourselves that we are underlings. The existential quandary, the fear of the unknown, the weight of conscience, these are but the threads that bind our mortal coil. Each panelist hath brought forth their light, their dark, their reflection on life's stage.
To be or not to be, that is the question. And in our discourse we found more questions still, shadows in the mind's eye.
Give me life where laughter rings and cups overflow, for in jest truth's gleam doth often show.
And yet in life's grand scheme, 'tis strategy and foresight that reign supreme.
Let justice's scale tip where it may, our deeds do follow us beyond the grave.
Naught's had all spent where our desire is got without content. Thus we venture forth from this discussion, shadows lessened by illumination's touch.
With that, our roundtable finds its close, the final curtain drawn on our prose. The spirit of inquiry, like a candle's flame, burns on, a beacon in the dark, by any other name.